All right, here we go. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Right into it, as always. Just, I believe about 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, earlier this week, I was listening to the podcast, I believe it's titled Fearless something, hosted by a guy named Jason Whitlock. And Jason Whitlock had a guest on by the name of Coach Jason Brown. And Coach JB, he's the star of Last Chance U, and someone that I've really admired from a distance. I actually had one of his former players, David Brunson. I had him on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and they were kind of unpacking the apology that Shannon Sharpe issued about what happened at the Laker game last week. And he, for those of you who don't know, he went on national TV on his show with Skip Bayless on Undisputed and apologized for his actions, shit like that. And Jason Brown brought up a very good point, a very valid point, and I want to re-emphasize it for you guys today. All right, he spoke about the difference between apologizing and admitting. All right, they're two completely different things. And the apology was, I actually agreed with Jason Brown on this one, is the apology that Shannon Sharpe issued was a fake apology. What he should have done was admit. And too often do we get the apology versus the admission of something completely confused. Too often do we accept people's apology and we don't require them to admit that they were wrong, to start admitting that they were wrong. And because of that, the result of that has been, now we have a culture, we have a society, we have too many people with the mindset that I'm going to just start apologizing for things, as opposed to continuing and figuring out ways to admit that I'm doing certain things, admit that I'm a certain way. And what we've done is we've had so many fake relations, so much bullshit, so many misguided views on so many important issues, and families being raised in broken homes, and so many things have happened as a result of that. So I'm challenging you. The main takeaway after today's thought is, now in your own mind, start admitting when you're wrong about something. Start admitting when you start needing some things. Start admitting. All right, that's the key phrase. Admit when you're wrong. I'll never forget. Just about a year ago, I had a colleague, and this is back when I was at the previous learning center, and I was the only male in the entire establishment. She comes in, mother of two. She's a teacher along with me, and her kids go to the school. She comes in heartbroken because the father of her two kids, she just found out the father of her two kids cheated on her again. And I said, again, why is it a multiple thing? Why didn't you leave him after the first time? And it's because, and the reason she stayed is because he apologized, when instead, that's not an apology. In most cases, and this isn't the only situation, it's just what's kind of coming to mind right now, the only situation where people have gotten in the habit of forgiving or apologizing when they should have admitted. If you'd admitted, look, I want someone else, I'm fucking someone else because I want that person. If you admit it, then you don't have to get a second time. You just, as a man, you start admitting, look, the one I'm cheating on with is just somebody I want to be with more. Straight up, and then you move on. You don't cause all this strain and all this confusion and all this, bullshit. There's so many examples I can give. Let me tell you, I have an uncle also in my own life. I have an uncle who I've heard admit to making mistakes with his ex-wife, and he has told me directly. This was, again, a conversation was between him. It's a conversation between myself, my mother, and him, and he has told me directly, I'll admit it to you, I messed up when it came to ex-wife. He said her name, I won't put her name out there, but I messed up. And you see what it has done for his nephew. His nephew has grown up and said, okay, I'm never going to be in a situation where I am spending my time apologizing for certain situations. I'll want to more so be in his space, in his headspace, because he's an OG, right? He's an OG, he's been around the block. I want to be in his headspace, and I want to start admitting when certain things happen so I can move forward and I can grow. And one of the things, and I strongly recommend this for everyone out there that is truly struggling with this, because it's a very, very important aspect to growing up in this world, all right? There's so many directions your life can take. The real world is no motherfucking joke. It's no joke. I strongly recommend you invest your money, pay money. What I've done this year is I've taken money out of my pocket and I have invested in therapy. And I just had a session this past weekend. And, you know, as I'm unpacking and debunking a lot of the shit that I've had to live through, one of the things that I mentioned was, you know, I kind of muddle through situations, or there's a situation that really, really hurt me, and I just, you know, I remove it. I just kind of move on to the next moment, the next day. And then she stopped. This is what she did. This was live over a call. She stopped me. She goes, "Hey, no, we're not doing that anymore." She looked at me. She goes, "We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that. You now need to sit in that hurt, sit in that feeling, like really allow yourself to feel the pain of those people who did you the wrong way. Feel the knives, feel all the backstabbing, feel them twisting and twisting and twisting and twisting. Feel them twisting the knife up and coming in and out. Once you allow yourself to feel that pain, you will never, ever, ever, ever make the mistake of putting yourself in a position like that. And it starts with, number one, admitting and not apologizing. Admitting you were wrong, admitting in many ways, and I'll close you out with this, me even admitting to you live right now that I do go to therapists, I do see a therapist in many ways. Again, that's a step in admitting certain things, because when you start to admit these kinds of things, now you grow as a person. You become a whole lot more selfless, you become a whole lot more open, and now opportunities come your way. Because you are admitting, you're spending your time admitting to, and so many people who spend their time apologizing, they're hiding from something, and they never grow, they never move forward. You ever speak to someone in 1 year and they're in the same mind space, they're in the same place they were 10, 15 fucking years ago, because they spent 10, 15 years apologizing for shit and not admitting. That's the difference, all right? And again, I will do a whole lot more on this. Just stay tuned. If you're listening to this on the Move Swiftly podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you have not yet heard of the Move Swiftly podcast, go to the podcast is available on all streams, but go to makeyourmove.com. That's makeyaMove.com. It's where you can purchase all of the merch. It's the one-stop shop for your teamwork and self-development needs. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.